Hello and welcome back. This is the settings tutorial for Folder Fanatic. If we just access the preferences by clicking on this little cog and then move over into preferences. So we have our rule visibility, and this is essentially where we store all of the different switches for the different asset types, as well as the more advanced metadata-based ones, such as duration or resolution. The one thing you need to know here is that if you press show all, that will essentially switch everything on. And if you go back to the preset editor and open this up, you're going to see everything. All the panels will be present, and then they will be completely full up with everything that is in there. And then if I clear all, you get rid of everything. This is just there. So if you want to start to develop a fresh default, then you can do. The reset default will reset the defaults, and you can create your own defaults from here. So for example, I can add EXR here, save my default, and then I could clear all, and if I reset my defaults, it's back. So yeah, that's the rules visibility. That's the end of that. We then have preset files, and once again, super simple. If we click on this, it will open the folder that all of your presets are saved into. We can import a preset, and this will just automatically take whatever you select and place it into that folder rather than you having to find it and copy and paste it. We can export any of them rather than once again opening that folder to get at them. You can just export it, and you would select which one you want to from this list. And then the restore Folder Fanatic preset. So as you know, this ships with the Folder Fanatic preset, and you can edit it, you can delete it, you can do all sorts. If you ever want it back, you just restore it here. Then we have settings, which we'll come back to in a moment, and appearance. So in appearance, if you would like to change the highlight color in the script, then you can choose from any of these selections. And then if you'd also like that to be mirrored over here, you can just switch this on. So you will need to refocus the app if you change any of these, just by rolling your mouse over the smaller window. Yep. And then one last thing before we get into the main settings, which is that you have the help here. And I'm hoping that this will give you most of the answers that you need if you have any queries, but obviously there are these videos as well. In settings, we have unmatched items. So move unmatched items to a folder. That's on by default, and you can define the name of that folder. It's defaulted to unsorted, but you can change that to whatever you want. If you switch this off and you sort something and it isn't defined, it's going to stay where it is, and it's going to include the folder structure that it's in. So cleanup removes any empty folders. So this is the case that once again, if we have this switched off and we organize the project, these are going to remain even once organized. So you can see my overscale.aep is still there because that cleanup is switched off. Label colors. In the previous video, we talked about setting up our label colors and how once we set up the label colors, we can choose to apply that color to any asset which is sorted into that folder by switching this on. If that's something that you always want to do, then in the settings here, you can switch the global rule set. So if you switch that on, then essentially it will always do that. If you give a folder a label color, then all the assets that are put into there will also take on that label color. Under that, you have the default preset, and this is the preset that will load whenever you restart After Effects or you make a new project within After Effects. And you can select anyone that you like from the list once you've generated a few more presets. Warnings, as you would have noticed when we try to do things, you get a warning. You can disable these, and then you can choose whether it's disabled by session only, which is what it defaults to. So even if you disable it the next session, it will switch itself back on just in case. If you're feeling confident, then you can stick it onto permanent, and you can reset them all if you have disabled all of them. Under that, we have restore settings default. Essentially anything that you change in here, it's going to set it back to its defaults. And then we have advanced. So I'm going to skip this one for the moment and start at the bottom. We have apply folder structure to new empty project. So if we switch that on, it's going to just use your default preset. And if you make a new project or when you open up After Effects, it's essentially going to automatically load in that folder structure for you. So if that's something that you think is going to be useful, then it's down here under the advanced for you. And then the last one, which I'm not going to go into too much because it's better to talk about this in the advanced rule sets, is protected folders, which are essentially folders that won't be included in any sorting or organizing. And we have our global setting here, and that's essentially every preset, no matter which preset you have, will have whichever folders that you put in this list applied to them. However, you can also do it per preset by enabling this switch here, but I will talk about that in greater detail in the advanced rule set tutorial. Great. I hope that was helpful, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.